Hey there, E here from eEats and Healthy Treats with day 5, the last 40 days of summer, with a new salad each day. Today's salad is a garlicky chicken kale salad featuring chicken, kale, yellow wax beans, mixed blend of cherry tomatoes, and garlic with a tangy Italian dressing. Let's get into it. First, we're going to start by thinly slicing our pound of chicken. By cutting it thin, this will allow our marinade to fully envelop all of the chicken pieces and also allows it to be eaten easier on the salad. I personally like everything bite-sized on my salad. That way there's no need to cut anything up before digging right in. We'll place all of the cut chicken into a shallow dish. Next, we're going to start with our marinade and dressing. This will take half of a lemon, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, a half a cup of olive oil, a quarter teaspoon of dried basil, oregano, parsley, thyme, and onion powder. And there's also 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, which I'm going to use Grey Poupon here, but you can use any brand that you would like. There's no need to go running to your neighbors and asking them for a Grey Poupon for those that remember those commercials back in the day. So we're going to add all of our ingredients, our olive oil, our vinegar, the Grey Poupon, Dijon mustard that is, add the spices in there. We'll then juice our lemon. There were some seeds in this lemon, so I'm going to go ahead and place my hand over the dish and pour the lemon juice right into my hand. That way I can capture any of the seeds, but you could use a strainer if you would desire as well. So we're going to whisk that all together. And just a comment on whisking, you want to make sure you use your whole arm instead of just flicking your wrist to mix it. That way you don't have fatigue on your wrist, especially if you're doing a lot of whisking. Give it a little taste. It was good. So we're going to grab our chicken and pour about half of the marinade in there, reserving the rest for our dressing. And then we'll mix that all up with our hand, making sure to coat each piece of chicken thoroughly with the marinade. And then we'll go ahead and cover that and place it in the refrigerator. The chicken should marinate for about at least 1 hour, but no more than 4 because the acid and vinegar and the lemon can start to actually technically cook the meat, so to speak. So next up are our vegetables. We'll be using 1 bunch of kale, 1 cup of cherry tomatoes, and 8 cloves of garlic. Here I show 4, but after making the recipe, I really think it should be doubles, especially if you like garlic. 1 handful of beans, and I used yellow wax beans here, but feel free to use green, and then Parmesan cheese. So we're going to grab a sheet pan and add the tomatoes, the garlic cloves, and to the beans we're going to snap off the ends and add those to the pan, leaving them long. Did anyone else hate snapping beans when you were a kid? It's probably because you'd rather be out playing, but instead you got stuck doing those. Anyways, nowadays I actually find it kind of relaxing. Next, we're going to drizzle the vegetables with some olive oil and mix them around to coat them. You also see here I'm going to add some salt to the beans. And then we're going to separate them out so that they aren't touching, and that will keep them from steaming. There does seem to be some controversy on whether or not green and yellow beans should be cooked. Some say you can eat them raw, while others say that they should be cooked at least 10 minutes to break down toxins, such as the lectins, which are protein that are hard to break down. And also beans could be high risk for foodborne illnesses. We're going to toss the pan of vegetables in a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for at least 10 to 12 minutes. To the kale, we're going to go and devein it. We're going to strip off the leaves from the stem. The stems can be very tough and bitter, so we don't want to add them to our salad. If you wish, you could cook them up with some seasoning and eat them. I've added some different tough stems to soups for nutrients. And they do soften up once they've been cooked for a while. Now we're going to gather up the kale and do some rough chops on it to make it into smaller pieces. Then we'll add all that to a bowl. And I'm going to start massaging it right away. This will break down the fibers and make it tender. But also later on here, you'll see I add some salt and olive oil. You could do this at the beginning, and I probably should have. But we're going to massage all this for about 3 minutes or until the kale is tender. The salt and the oil will help enhance the flavor of it. And this will also significantly reduce in volume once you get done massaging it. We'll then set that to our side, and we're gonna get our vegetables out of the oven. We're gonna transfer the tomatoes, which should be split but not totally mushy, to the dish that we have here. And we're gonna place that in the freezer. We want to stop any further cooking, and we also want to bring the temperature down for our salad. Then transfer the beans to our cutting board. These are slightly more cooked than I would have liked. I checked them about 10 minutes and they probably should have come out then, but I thought, oh, maybe another minute or two and it'll make them slightly less crunchy. But hindsight, that would have been better for our salad. We'll also move the garlic cloves to our cutting board. To the green beans, we're going to cut them at an angle and add them to our salad bowl. You can cut them one at a time, as I did here at the beginning, or you can do multiple all at the same time. Next, we're going to take the garlic and peel off that outer skin. For the first one here, I made a small cut on one of the ends and then started peeling it back. On the other ones, I found it easier to kind of just rip the skin off, and it seemed to pop out faster that way. Once all the garlic is peeled up, we're going to go ahead and dice it up. It may be a little tender, which is good. It might be a little bit mushy when cutting, but we're going to add it to our bowl, and cutting it this way will help distribute the garlic throughout the salad better. Our last preparation step is to cook our chicken. To a cast iron skillet that I heated to medium-high heat, add some oil and we'll distribute that on the bottom of the pan. We'll then add the marinated chicken, and if there's any marinade in the bottom of the bowl, go ahead and feel free to add that in as well. We're going to let that cook until the bottom of the chicken starts to turn somewhat white and there's no longer pink. We'll go ahead and flip it. We'll then add some freshly ground salt and pepper. Then occasionally you'll want to stir it to keep it from sticking to the bottom. Let's now check the chicken with the thermometer. We would like it to be 165 and we want significantly over that. The chicken did cook very quickly, so be cautious of that. We'll then transfer all the chicken to a plate. We want it to be evenly distributed on the plate because we're going to stick that in the freezer to stop the cooking process and cool it down for our salad. While in there, make sure you grab the tomatoes and bring them back to our salad bowl. If any pieces are large, you may want to cut them in half. Otherwise, I felt the rest of these seemed to be a good size. Next, take the chicken out of the freezer. It was in there for maybe a minute or two, and it did cool down quite a bit. Toss the chicken in the salad. I ended up using about half of the chicken, and we'll use the remainder in another dish later on in the week. But please feel free to add as much to your salad if you like. Lastly, let's dish this up. And add some of our salad dressing, which was also the marinade for the chicken, but obviously not the marinade that the chicken was in. Then we'll grate on some freshly grated Parmesan cheese and add as much as you'd like. Now it's ready for a taste test. I thought it was lacking a little on the garlic, which is why I added to the recipe and suggested doubling the garlic. Otherwise, this is a keeper. Until later, be blessed and act with love. Enjoy!